Hello and welcome to the day ahead. It is Thursday, June the 5th. I'm Andrew Gagan. Well, the local share market is set to open flat with ASX futures off by just 1 point. Global equity markets were mostly higher overnight, with Germany's benchmark index touching a record high, boosted by a corporate tax relief package. On Wall Street, US stocks ended mixed amid weak economic data, with investors remaining cautious ahead of planned tariff negotiations between President Trump and China's President Xi. Shares of Hewlett-Packard rose as demand for AI servers and its AI hybrid cloud segment helped second quarter revenue with profit beating estimates. That was after the bell. Global Foundries rose after the chip manufacturer announced plans to increase investments to $16 billion. Tesla fell as the EV maker's sales dropped for the fifth straight month in the largest European markets. And shares of cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike slumped after it forecast quarterly revenue below estimates. And Dollar Tree fell heavily as the discount store operator forecast second quarter adjusted profit could fall as much as 50% from a year ago due to tariff-driven volatility. The US services sector contracted for the first time in nearly a year in May, while businesses paid higher prices for inputs. And US private payrolls increased much less than expected in May, adding 37,000 jobs. Meanwhile, the Fed's Beige Book reported that activity declined slightly, with delayed hiring said to be widespread. It also said expectations of future increased rises in costs and prices were widespread. Well, US-European trade talks are progressing, according to Europe's top negotiator, while pointing out that the doubling of US metals tariffs is not helping. And ahead of planned talks between President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping, Trump has taken to social media, labelling the Chinese leader extremely hard to make a deal with, suggesting expectations of a resolution in trade differences between the world's two largest economies could prove to be elusive. And Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has warned that his government is preparing reprisals against the US in response to the imposition of tariffs on metals. This as the Bank of Canada left its policy rate unchanged at 2.75% as expected, and indicated that there could be a need for further easing. But for now, the bank is proceeding cautiously given both the upside and downside risks to inflation. US Treasury yields fell sharply in response to the weaker than expected labour and services sector data. The US 10-year fell around 10 basis points to 4.36%, and the 2-year was down to 3.87%. And evidence of a weakening US economy sent the US dollar lower across the board. The Aussie has risen to 64.9 US cents. And Bitcoin is trading around 105,000 US dollars. Well, oil prices have fallen on a larger than expected US gasoline and diesel inventories as OPEC Plus plans more output and trade tensions cloud the energy demand outlook. Brent crude futures down more than 1% at $64 a barrel. The copper price has risen around 1.3%. Iron ore down 1% to $95 a tonne. And the gold price has been supported by a softer dollar and weak US data, as well as mounting economic and political uncertainty. Spot gold up around 0.5% at $3,375 an ounce. Locally today, we get the international trade balance for April, as well as household spending. That is your day ahead. See you again tomorrow.